to my channel on generative AI applications. Today I want to cover how you can get Stable Diffusion running on a T4 Colab GPU. So Stable Diffusion XL is the latest version of Stable Diffusion that was released 3-4 weeks back. It is a significant enhancement over Stable Diffusion 2.1, which was the last release, and as I'll show you, the image qualities coming out of this are simply stunning. It was hard to get these models to run on a Colab GPU, but I'll share some tips and tricks that help manage the model size. I've shared the link to this Colab notebook in the video. So to get started, we will first install base packages that includes diffusers. I'm going to use Gradio to build the web interface, and then a few more packages here that are needed to get the model running. So I want to cover maybe a little bit quickly the basics of Stable Diffusion. So Stable Diffusion XL, which is the new model, essentially comes in two stages. There is the base model, and then there's the refiner stage. So in this notebook, we'll cover running the base model alone and the base model with the refiner. The refiner is the second stage that is optional to use. It can take latents from the first stage and essentially refine them, and by refining primarily reduces noise, and it adds that extra little bit to make the image really flash out. So Stable Diffusion XL, and this is a kind of chart I got from their paper, is significantly better than the older version. So here in this chart, they've showed what % of people kind of really prefer the model. So it's a kind of human evaluation of preference. And as can be seen, Stable Diffusion XL base is also significantly better than the older versions, with the refiner adding a little bit more on top. In terms of what was done to make this model, what is the enhancement here compared to the older version? So per the paper, this model is just kind of much bigger. So it has 2.6 billion parameters, whereas the older one has 865 million parameters. It uses a much larger UNet backbone, so that kind of explains why it's better. It also is a heavier model than the last one, so it's a little bit slower for inference as well. Besides this, I think another sort of big change they've done is they've trained the model on multiple aspect ratios, and they've changed the model encoder and stuff to handle different image resolutions. Besides this, I think among other kind of big changes, they are using a dual text encoder. Earlier clip VITL was used as the main text encoder, but they've also recently added OpenClip as an encoder. And then finally, like I mentioned, the model can be used as a single stage with just the STXL base or with the refiner. The refiner was a sort of a second kind of model, also a latent diffusion model that was added to sort of refine the image. So it is an image to image generation model, whereas the base is a text to image generation model. And also I'll kind of show you below that you can use either both stage or single stage. And it depends on how much compute you have. So first and foremost, to use the Stable Diffusion XL, I've used the XL 0.9 version here. You have to go to Hugging Face Hub and then look for this model here. I'll include the link in the video as well. And this is a gated model, so you have to. There's a small form here that you got to fill out to be able to access the model. Once you're done with that, the first step would be to log into Hugging Face Hub. So if you're new to Hugging Face, you need to create an account here, and then you can go to settings, and then you can go to your, I think it's the keys here, access tokens here, that you can go to and get your API keys. Okay, so the Stable Diffusion XL model now works on just the free version of Colab, which is the normal T4 GPU. And to kind of load the model, you can load it in the FP16 version, which takes about 12 GB of the 12 to 13 GB of the 15.5 GB RAM that's available. So one enhancement I did is that you can use this line here to speed up the inference of the model. Okay, so beyond this, it was pretty simple. I tested this model on a simple prompt here, an astronaut riding a green horse, and you can see it creates a pretty good image. The version that's kind of released on Hugging Face Hub has images of size 1024 cross 1024. Okay, awesome. So I included a small code snippet here for you to create a Gradio interface that you can use for easily testing this. Next, I want to share how you can run this as a two-stage pipeline with Stable Diffusion XL along with the refiner. Now, word of caution here, I was able to get this working on a regular T4 free Colab, but I found that if you were going to repeatedly generate images, there's a chance you can go out of memory. So it's a little bit, if you want to like kind of use this safely for a longer time, it's better to choose a high RAM instance. So if you go here and kind of look at your instance types, you basically select the T4 GPU and then you select the high RAM option here. Okay, so now there's a few changes we do here to load this model. So we load the base Excel model just like before, but we make one change here. When we call the pipeline on it, we set the output type as latent. So we don't want the model to generate an image. We want to generate an intermediate kind of embedding type of representation that goes to the refiner stage. So refiner as well, we will load it as FP16. Given that the refiner in itself will require GPU memory, and the T4 is pretty much, the memory of the T4 GPU is pretty much consumed by the the XL model. I added in this parameter to enable model CPU offload. So this allows you to use the CPU more effectively to load the model, and that's why you kind of need a higher RAM instance, because the CPU is being used to load the model. And then finally, the combined pipeline uses the two-stage. It takes the output coming from the first stage as input into the refiner. Okay, very cool. And then down here is a little bit of a code to create a Gradio interface with this as well. So the Gradio interface would look something like this. And I'll kind of show you. One of the experiments I did was Panda riding a bike through New York City while pedestrians look at him stunned. You see it's a pretty good generation. The quality of the image is stunning. The details are very fine, and you can see the expressions as well on these people. So certainly much better output generation than before. Another one I tried was this one. The prompt here is hiker hiking through a rainforest while trying to look for birds through her binoculars, and see the quality of image here. The features here is just absolutely amazing. In the past, Stable Diffusion really suffered from human faces and limbs not being very sharp, and you clearly see this looks like an actual photograph, not a generated one. Okay, very cool. That's it from me. Hope you try this out and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.